Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Let's get crafting. For this DIY, we are going to be actually only using 3 of these long signs from the Dollar Tree and one of these cute holiday signs that you can also pick up at the Dollar Tree. Now these signs are about 18 inches long, so I'm going to just cut that in half and I'm going to find that exact half point and I'm going to use a 45-degree angle cut, standing it up on its side. So it's not flat, but it's up on its side. That makes sense. And you can see here that I've got these 2 pieces that are the same size, and now I'm going to figure out the base. So I'm going to take this and just mark it off, and I don't have the exact measurement for this, but it just depends on how wide you want to make this, because today, friends, we are making a really sweet nativity scene. Now for the rooftop, we're going to use 1 more of these. So this is why I was saying we need 3 of them, and we're going to just create a cut line for where they're going to miter together at the top. So we're going to need a 45-degree angle for that. And then we need it just to be flat on the ends, not an angled cut. So you can see I have the 2 green ones that are a little bit shorter for the roof. The black ones are a little bit longer for the walls, and then the blue one is for the base. Now I laid it all out, tried to hold them all in place so I can trace around the sign, because we're going to cut that down so this could be the back of it and make it really sturdy. Now I love this because if you score these boards, these signs, if you score them a couple times, they pop right off where you want them to be cut, and then you just go over it with a pair of old scissors and you cut off the rest so you have a nice clean line. So you can see here that I'm just going over this side, I scored it, I pulled it back, and then it just pops right off. And then you can use your scissors to just clean up the line if there's anything extra that needs to be cleaned up. Now we can start assembling our darling nativity. So I'm going to go ahead and put down the walls first. I'm making sure that they come all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to just take my staple gun and staple that in place. And all of my tools, if you're interested in any of my tools, I'm going to have them linked down below so you can check them all out. So I'm just going to do a couple staples just to get it started to hold them in place, and I'm going to come back and really reinforce the back. I love whenever the projects are really well built versus you drop it and it's going to break. So now at the top, I went ahead and mitered the corners together with some wood glue and some hot glue, and now I'm coming in and quickly adding on the glue to the sides of the walls and also to the back side of the roof, and I'm just gluing that all down into place to making sure everything's nice and secure. And then I'm coming back in with my staple gun and just going crazy on it. Now here's this next part. Obviously I'm not going into my desk. I'm doing a countersink hole. I'm just going around enough to make sure that the screw head will be able to sink down in there, because you don't want that to scratch your table. And once I had that done, I went ahead and added some glue to the bottom of the walls, lined up those countersink holes, and then I took my drill and drilled all the way through it, so that way when I go to put a screw in, it'll go in really easy. So once I've pre-drilled that hole, I switched out my bit and I went ahead and added in the screw and drilled it all into place. This is going to be that final thing that is going to make this thing, you could drop it a million times. Well, I wouldn't drop it off of like a big building. Then it would probably break. But you could drop this a bunch and not have to worry about it breaking or having any issues, because everything has been stapled together and screwed down at the bottom. It's built really well if you follow these steps. Now I'm going to take some white paint. I think I went over with about 4 coats of white paint. I really wanted to make sure the white was really beautiful and just glowing. Now I'm going to take some of these peg people. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but this is like a real trendy thing to do over on Pinterest, and I love these little peg people. I've loved them for years. I thought it would be so sweet to make a Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus out of these peg people. So first I started by painting on their faces, and then I went in with the color for their clothes. So Mary, I went with a really pretty blue color, a very light teal, almost like an ocean blue. And then while I was letting that dry over to the side, and a heat gun works so great for that too. I'm so glad I went and finally bought a heat gun. You're going to see me using it a lot in this video. Now I'm going to use some brown and I'm going to put on Joseph's beard, and I'm just kind of tapping it around and making a hairline. And while that's drying, I switched to black, and I'm now going to put on Mary's hair, and I kind of made a little swoop in the front so you could tell that she, you know, is Mary and has pretty hair. And now I'm taking a fine tip brush and I'm going to make some scallops all the way down her. And I'm going to come back in with this lighter blue color so that you can really see the difference between the two blues. This is going to be her pretty veil that she has on her, or her shawl. I don't know exactly. I think it's like a veil, maybe a shawl. Leave a comment down below. Educate me if I'm saying it wrong. I'm not offended if you help your friend Heidi out. And then for baby Jesus, I went ahead and used the same color that I used on her shawl, on her covering. I don't know. Now we're going to go over to Joseph, and I went ahead and added green to a really pretty green. I really love this color. And I went all the way up to his neckline, just twisting around. And the fun thing about these is you really could just make them look however you want them to look. You can customize them, you can change their hair color. It's so fun doing this project. I really enjoyed making these, and I just think they're so sweet. Wait until you see them all together with the Nativity, and it's so fun how this project turned out. Now for Mary, I wanted to add a little bit more detail, so I took the back of my brush and I'm just making tiny little dots all over to give her some design and to, you know, just make her look more feminine. And then on the bottom of Joseph, I went around with some white paint, creating some little dots all the way around him. Now when they were drying, I went ahead and switched back over to the house because the white paint was done drying. And I'm just going to take some ticking cloth, and I'm going to just go ahead and add that to the back of the house to clean it up, because that's where the glittery sign was on the back side. Now we're going to take a wooden star. I have a pack of these that I got from, I think it was Hobby Lobby with a 40% off coupon, or they might have been on sale. And I'm just going to paint that yellow, and I'm going to put that right up at the top of the house, and it's going to clean up that line where we mitered those pieces together, and it looks really finished and polished at this point. This next DIY is so friendly. It is a perfect DIY if you're a new crafter and you want to try something out. What you're going to need, one of these foam cones from the Dollar Tree. I struggled saying that a little bit. And then whatever ribbon you choose from the Dollar Tree or other places, or anything you might have on hand. So this ribbon is from the Dollar Tree. I picked it up during the fall time, and the trick to it is you're going to fold it in half where the wires are coming together and touching, and then you're going to start to just snip along that ribbon. And we're going to be making a wider snip as you're going along, and then as we get closer and closer to the top, you're going to see that I'm starting to make it a little bit closer together so that they're smaller snips versus wider snips. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hot glue, you're going to go ahead and put that on your cone, and then you're going to just keep going around and around until you coil all the way up to the top. Now you can see at this point I'm starting to make my snips being a little bit smaller. Right around this area, the middle, I like to go a little bit more of a medium, and then really small towards the top. Now this is a part that I learned as I was going along and trying this and kind of coming up with how I wanted to do it. I decided to add some hot glue in between where the wires touch each other, just to try to help it keep it from losing its form or its shape, and it just helped it to make it easier to put it back on when I was coiling it around the actual cone. So as you're getting towards the top more and more, you're going to notice that at the very top it's not going to want to cover all the way up, and you want it to be nice and clean. So I took a piece of the ribbon and I cut it into a larger circle. I put some hot glue, I pulled it all around the side, so that way when I got up to the top we can make this look as clean as we possibly can. Then as you get to the top with those really small cut pieces of the ribbon, how you see me fraying it, I went ahead and just twisted in the very end and glued it down into place. This really makes it look polished up at the top, and I just love how this turned out. Now this is where it gets even fun. We can stop here and leave this as it is, but I felt like the top needed a little something, plus I wanted to kind of clean it up some. So I found this leftover pick piece from one of the florals that I used for this video, and I decided that it would be so cute if I poked that down at the top and then added some wood beads at the top. I don't know what it is about this part, but when I did it, I ended up, oh, it went from feeling like it was cute to feeling like it was high-end, something you would see in a boutique, and it just kept getting better and better, and you're going to see that I just keep taking it one step better. Now again, you could totally stop here, and you could even just do the tree, not the wood balls on top. But then I decided, wait a second, let's take it one more step further. So I took one of these wood blocks from the Dollar Tree and a little dowel also from the Dollar Tree, and I just drilled a hole, and you can see that I didn't have the right drill bit that I needed for it, so I just kind of wiggled it around until I got it to a size that I would need for the dowel to be able to fit down in there. Added some hot glue, added it into the tree at the bottom, and I pushed it down, made sure it was secure, and then I also hot glued up in there to make sure everything was nice and secure. With the bow being on top, it's so cute. Now we could stop there, or we can go one more step further. And this is the thing about DIYs, they're so fun to customize them, to make them your own and keep playing with them. These little garden tags are from the floral section. I love these things. There's something about them that looks so farmhouse high-end looking. And then I went ahead and just popped it off the stick, glued it onto the wood block, and now I decided to write the number 25 because I thought that would be so sweet for Christmas. So I went ahead and just took my time with my thin paintbrush and some white paint, and once it was all done, it's ready to be displayed. For this DIY, I'm going to be using this staircase spindle that I also picked up from Habitat for Humanity, as well as some Dollar Tree products. You all know I love my Dollar Tree DIYs, and so I'm going to be using this staircase spindle to make the most beautiful farmhouse angel that I know you're all going to get so excited when you see how I create the wings, because it is really something. All right, we're going to take these two signs and we're going to lay them right next to each other with the spindle right in the middle, and we're going to start just tracing out these wings. Now I love using these signs because you can cut them and shape them to whatever you might need for your project. It does take a little bit of elbow grease, but you know what? Once you get the shape you want, you can do some cool things. So here I am at this point. I'm taking my craft knife and I'm making sure I'm cutting on my mat. Don't ever cut just directly on your table, obviously, but I'm just going to say just in case you're a new crafter. And I'm just scoring all along these, and I'm cutting them and snapping them as I go. And if there's any rough edges, I'm going to be snipping it with my scissors or my craft knife in any tough areas, and then sanding it to get the shape that we need. Once I've got two of those done, I put them to the side, and we're going to start working on the body of the angel. So we're going to take this sign from this little wood plaque, actually, from the Dollar Tree. I filled in the holes, and then I'm doing a countersink hole right here. My drill bit is not big enough. You all know if you've been watching for a while, I need to get bigger drill bits. But I'm going in with a smaller drill at this point, and I'm going to just pre-drill some holes to make sure I don't splinter or crack anything, because this stairway spindle is pretty old and I don't want to have any issues with it. So I went ahead and started my screw, got everything all lined up, and I'm putting on some wood glue and some hot glue for that short-term, long-term hole that you all know I love so much. And now I'm going back in, and I started to screw it in, and now I'm just twisting to get it in place, and then I'll go back in one more time to really sink in that screw, and it should be nice and flat at the bottom. Now this is the cool part where the wings start to happen. I'm so excited about this part. I went ahead and took my staple gun, and I'm just going to staple all up the spine of this angel. And I'm going to do it on both sides, and it is so secure on here, friends. Now this is where it really starts to come to life. I'm going to take the smallest popsicle stick that there is, and then we're going to just keep cutting them down. We want to have the rounded edges. This is the bottom of the wing, and then we're going to just keep adding on more pieces. As we add on more and more and more, we keep shifting our way up, and just have fun with it. Move things around. Make sure that you're trying to cover up any gaps that would show that original sign. Once I got that part down, I moved up to the tongue depressor stick size, did a few rows of that, made sure I was curving along the edge, and then I moved on to these really big sticks that I picked up from Walmart, and I love these because they cover even more surface, and this is really where it's going to start to take the shape of that wing. When you get to the top, just keep using your pencil to create the shape that you need, cut things out, and then just continue to layer until you get the desired look that you want on the wing. I really had a lot of fun creating this part and just shaping everything to get the look that I was going for, and just kept working with it until the entire wing was completely covered. And make sure you go all the way into the groove between the stair spindle and the wing to make sure it's all nice and covered in there. Now once that was all done, I went ahead and moved on to the head. I'm just drilling out a hole, adding in one of these sticks, one of the craft sticks from the Dollar Tree, and then this ornament. When I saw this, I knew that this could be a head for an angel, so I snagged it. And how cool is it that it has the exact same scalloped texture as the wings? I thought that this was meant to be together. I was so thrilled over this. So once I added a little hot glue, I went ahead and twisted it onto the body of the angel. And now I wanted to create some depth and some texture to this angel and her wings. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with a pretty gray color, and I'm just going to work into all of those little crevices, making sure everything is covered in the gray color, and making sure that I just keep tapping as I go. This is, I think, probably where it goes from just being a craft to a high-end looking item that you might see in an actual boutique. And then I made sure I flipped it over, got all the sides, got the back, and I'm going to also paint the bottom base this color, but I'm going to come back in with some white paint and dry brush over the wings and the feathers, and I'm going to dry brush over the base as well. Make sure you have very little paint on your brush as you're doing this. This is the dry brush technique, and then just keep working with it until you get that desired look that you want. Now I wanted to be able to have my angel holding up a wreath in between her because, well, I like little tiny wreaths, and why not? So I went ahead and took some of this garland, twisted it around into a smaller wreath, and then to make it look more high-end, I'm going to take some boxwood and I'm going to add that to the wreath. But once I had everything all twisted into place, I'm now going to take this. I picked these up from Hobby Lobby on a really long vine, and I just cut it up. Now I'm going to add some berries, and I'm just going to really finish off this look by making sure I don't have any bald areas on it. I wanted to make sure it looks really covered and really beautiful. And then the last, add a bow to finish the look and hang it on your angel. This DIY is really easy for anyone who's wanting to try some crafts this Christmas season. Go ahead and take 2 of these different glass stem candle votives that they have at the Dollar Tree over in their home decor area, 2 of these glass jars that they also have there for candles, and then 2 of their candles that they have. Now to make sure that the glass stays on long term, you're going to take some E6000. You're going to create a circular pattern right there, and then you're going to leave some spaces in between to add in the hot glue. That hot glue is going to dry over time, and it's going to allow that E6000 to really seal and bond the glass together. Now I like to kind of roll it around on there to make sure everything was nice and glued down, and then once they were all in place, go ahead and take whatever ribbon it is that you like. You can even add some greenery, some berries to this. I kept it really clean and simple to make it look that high-end Pottery Barn look. And I'm just going to take this really pretty ribbon from the Dollar Tree and add a bow and some tails. Then simply add in your candles and you're ready to display. This DIY is super simple, and there's been so many different variations of it, but I wanted to do something different because I came up with this technique at the beginning of this Christmas season. I love adding this texture to my DIYs, these little bumps. And I know they're just a little bit of bling that a lot of people use on scrapbooking, but these are so cool when you see what we're going to do with them. So I'm just taking them and going along all the edges of my plate, and then as well on my candle stem. So I'm going to go around the middle part, and then I'm going to come down to the base and also go around the base. Now we're going to be doing a whitewash with these, and it is going to look so cool. Instead of doing the regular distressing that we do, we're going to end up doing it with white, and it's going to look so cool. Here I am busting open a new bottle of E6000. That last one that you saw in my last video, I was just squeezing the life out of that thing, trying to make sure I got every drop. So I like to do it in 3 parts. I do 3 different areas of the E6000, and then I come back in the opened areas and I add in the hot glue in those other 3 areas to make sure that it's nice and sealed. The hot glue is for a short-term hold, and the E6000 is for a long-term hold. Once you have that all done, take it outside and spray paint it all the color that you want. I went with red because that's the color I'm doing for our home this Christmas season. And now we're going to start working on that white paint. So I'm just putting very little, not too crazy, because we're going to be wiping away the majority of it. We want the white to fall in between all of those bumps and those grooves, because it adds the prettiest detail. Then when you're all done with the white part, go ahead and take some of your glossy Mod Podge and go ahead and just rub that all over the whole thing, and then really let it dry. Now I definitely would not put cookies on this, but you could if you put down a little cloth with it. But this could definitely be the cutest thing to put on little treats or some candles. So pretty for Christmas. For this craft, we're going to be using these long dowel sticks from the Dollar Tree, 2 stars and 2 wood plaques. Now you don't have to do 2 of these, but I loved how they looked where one was taller than the other, so that's why I made 2. To get started, we're going to cut the twine out, patch those holes that were originally in the plaque and the stars, and then we're going to drill a hole in the center of the plaque and a hole at the bottom of the star. And you're going to want to make sure that the point is facing down. You can see that I lifted it up so I didn't drill through my desk, because I do use my drill in my craft room. Once you've got those all drilled, and if you don't have a drill bit that's big enough, I don't either, I just drill around a little bit in a circle until I get the size that I need for the dowel. I like to use a wood glue and a hot glue combined for that long-term, short-term hold while it's drying. I just don't trust hot glue by itself forever, and I always like to make sure I add in some wood glue. Once that's all dry, go ahead and paint your base and your sticks, or your dowels, whichever you want to call it. And keep in mind that you're going to want one dowel to be shorter than the other, so I did cut that down a little bit. I forgot to show that, but you're going to see at the end that one is taller than the other. Now you're going to decide what color you want your star to be painted. I'm going with red and white this year in my home, so I'm painting my star red. And then once everything was all painted and dried, I went ahead and took some sandpaper and just roughed up my star to give it that farmhouse distress look. I don't get too crazy with this part because I just like a little bit of distressing. I know it's not for everyone. Now for this next part, you're going to notice that the base has some text paper on it. Friends, I recorded it and for whatever reason it was out of focus. I'm so sorry, but how I did it was I took a piece of text paper from a book, I cut it down to size. I didn't make it perfectly shaped to that size, but I just cut like a nice piece of it, and then I cut a slit, shaked it and shimmied it around the little dowel, and then I just glued it all down. And once it was glued down in place, I took some sandpaper and sanded the edges until I got that shape that was perfectly the shape of the base, and then just glued it all into place. So here you're seeing me add on the moss on top of it because I just really love how this looks together with the text paper on it. You don't have to do the text paper or even the grass, but I just think it looks so cute all together. Very farmhouse, very chic. I don't know. And then now what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking these greenery twist Christmas tree, there's a name for them too. Friends, I'm so sorry. I'm the worst at names here on my channel. But I'm going to take it and give it a haircut because last year I realized when I was working with this and trying to make a tiny wreath that they were just too bushy. So I give it a little haircut, twist it into a wreath, add a cute bow. I'm going to link my bow video down below if you're interested, and then add some berries, and then they're ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we are going to take this leftover sign that I think I got around Valentine's Day, but any sign will work that you have on hand. I'm sure you have some from the Dollar Tree. And then this free printable that I designed for you all. So go ahead by starting with painting the sign. Once you've got 2 coats of white paint on it, I went ahead and cut out my wings. Now, the reason why I didn't just create a printable that had music notes with wings is because I wanted you to be able to have this as a dual option where you can work with the music notes separately and then you can use the wings on another project. So that way it's versatile for other things and not just only one-time use. So once I took my wings, I cut them out and then I traced them onto the music note paper. You can see them over to my side. I went ahead and did some distressing once the white paint was dried, and then I'm going to come back over again to my wings and I'm going to glue them onto some burlap. I'm not going to cut them apart. I want them to be gathered together in the middle, and then I'm just going to add some hot glue and put that right down on my sign. Now I wanted the sides to be bent up just a little bit so it looks like they're going to take flight any second, but I just thought this was so pretty, adding that extra burlap in there. Now we're going to add on some more texture. You don't have to do this if this is not your jam, but that's okay. If it is, have fun with it. Don't be afraid to try something new. But again, you know what you like, and I would never want you to do something that you didn't feel comfortable with. So the whole thing on my channel is to always encourage you to try something new and just, you know, play with your projects and keep playing with them until you get them to a point that you love. So I'm now taking a little wooden star, I painted it yellow, and I'm going to take some of this chunky, thick glitter that I just love so much, and I'm just going to glue that right in the center of the wings. That glitter came from Michael's, and I think I used a coupon. It was the best price, and I love it. I use it all the time. So now I'm going to use my cursive, and again, you can use vinyl on this, but I'm just going to paint it. It's so much easier for me just to paint it sometimes. And then I sealed it with Mod Podge once it was dry, because if you don't, these rub-on stickers will have a hard time sticking sometimes when the paint is still really dry if you don't wait 24 hours. And then I just rubbed them on and they were all set to be displayed. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you think of this video. And until the next episode, bye friends.